Hey everyone! Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into a classic piece of Canadian history, the 1978 Canadian 1-cent coin. Whether you're a collector, a history buff, or just curious about what that old penny in your drawer might be worth, this video is for you. So, let's get started. The Canadian 1-cent coin, also known as the penny, was part of Canada's currency system for over 150 years before being discontinued in 2013. The 1978 penny is one of the more common dates from the late 20th century, but there's still a lot to learn about its design, history, and current value. First, let's talk about what the 1978 penny looks like. Like most Canadian pennies, it features the iconic maple leaf twig on the reverse side, a symbol of Canada's national identity. The obverse side features the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold McKim at that time. Composition ** 98% copper, 0.5% tin, 1.5% zinc, weight ** 3.24 grams, diameter ** 19.05 m. In 1978, the penny was still widely used in everyday transactions. Back then, prices were lower, and this tiny coin had real purchasing power. But over time, inflation and the cost to produce pennies grew, leading to their eventual phase-out. Now, when we talk about circulated coins, we mean coins that have been used in everyday transactions, passed from hand to hand, pocket to pocket. These coins show signs of wear, like scratches, discoloration, and loss of luster. Show close-up of circulated versus uncirculated 1978 pennies. The 1978 penny is no exception. Most of these coins you find will be circulated, and that affects their value. So, what is the value of a circulated 1978 Canadian penny today? Well, here's the reality. Most circulated 1978 pennies are worth about 1 cent face value. Because so many were minted, over 100 million, and because copper pennies are common, the market value doesn't increase much beyond that. However, there are a few exceptions and details that might bump up the value for collectors. A penny in extremely fine or better condition, even circulated, might be worth slightly more, up to 5 to 10 cents from collectors. Some coins might have minting errors or unusual features that can raise their value significantly. Because the penny is mostly copper, some people sell pennies by weight as scrap copper, but this is generally not profitable for single coins. Did you know? In 1978, Canada also issued some pennies with slight design variations and mint errors, like double dies or off-center strikes. These errors can sometimes be found in circulated coins, making them mini treasures for collectors. If you want to find out if your 1978 penny has any special value, start by looking at the coin's condition. Is it smooth or heavily worn? Does it have scratches or dents? Next, check for any unusual markings or errors. You can use a magnifying glass or take it to a coin dealer for professional grading. Coins are graded on a scale from poor to mint state, and the better the grade, the more valuable the coin can be. If you've got a handful of 1978 pennies lying around, here's what I recommend: don't throw them away. Even if their value is close to face value, they're a piece of history. Check for errors or unusual features. You might have a rare variety. Store them properly. Keep your pennies in a dry place, preferably in coin flips or albums to preserve their condition. Consider selling. If you find a rare one, consult with a reputable coin dealer or check online marketplaces like eBay for comparable sales. To sum it up, the 1978 Canadian 1-cent coin in circulated condition mostly holds its face value, 1 cent. But its true worth lies in its role as a collectible piece and a glimpse into Canada's numismatic past. Let's take a step back and explore the history behind the 1978 Canadian 1-cent coin, because every coin tells a story beyond just its monetary value. The Canadian penny's roots trace all the way back to the mid-1800s. The first Canadian pennies were introduced in 1858 when the province of Canada began issuing its own coins, transitioning away from the British currency system. Fast forward to 1978, Canada was in the midst of a period where the penny was an everyday staple. This was a time before electronic payments and before Canada started seriously questioning the penny's usefulness. By 1978, the penny featured the familiar design created by artist G.E. Kruger Gray, the maple leaf twig on the reverse, which had been introduced in 1937. This design symbolized Canada's identity and was beloved by Canadians. On the obverse, the coin bore the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, which was updated over the years as the Queen aged. The 1978 penny used the Arnold McKim effigy, introduced in 1965, marking the Queen wearing a tiara, a classic and elegant image seen on many Canadian coins from the 60s through the early 80s. During this era, pennies were made primarily of copper, which made them durable but also costly to produce. In fact, by the late 1970s and into the 1980s, the cost of producing a penny was more than its face value. This set the stage for eventual debates about whether the penny should remain in circulation. Despite their low value, pennies remained essential for pricing and transactions. Many Canadians were very attached to the penny. It was part of daily life, and the iconic maple leaf design held sentimental value. Canada continued producing copper pennies through the 1970s and 80s, but by the early 2000s, the penny was finally phased out because it was no longer practical. Production officially stopped in 2012, and the penny was withdrawn from circulation by 2013. The 1978 penny represents a snapshot of Canadian monetary history, a time when the penny was still king, the maple leaf was proudly displayed, and everyday commerce was conducted with these tiny copper coins. Specifically, the 1996 Canada 1-cent coin. What's its value? How rare is it? And should you even bother holding onto those old pennies? Let's find out. First, a little background. The Canadian 1-cent coin, also known as the penny, was a staple in Canadian currency for over 150 years, minted from 1858 until it was officially discontinued in 2012. The 1996 penny is part of the modern series, produced during the reign of Queen Elizabeth II. These coins are made primarily of copper-plated zinc and have a diameter of 19.05 mm. The 1996 penny features the iconic maple leaf twig on the reverse side, a symbol deeply connected to Canada's identity. On the obverse, you'll find the effigy of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by artist Arnold McKin, a design used from 1965 to 1989, but still on some coins for a few years after. So, how many of these 1996 pennies were actually made? According to the Royal Canadian Mint's official records, approximately 211 million 1-cent coins were minted in 1996. That's a huge number, meaning these coins were widely circulated across the country. Because of such high production numbers, the 1996 penny is considered very common and not particularly rare. Most Canadians likely have several of these pennies tucked away in jars, drawers, or even under couch cushions. Now, the big question: what is the value of a circulated 1996 Canadian penny? In general, circulated pennies from this year are worth their face value. 1 cent, yep, that's right. They're basically worth the same as their original monetary value when found in everyday condition. But wait, don't toss them just yet. There are some exceptions. Uncirculated or mint condition coins, or pennies with errors and unique features, can be worth more to collectors. We'll get to that in a moment. Every now and then, the Royal Canadian Mint makes a mistake during the production process. These error coins can be valuable collectibles, even for pennies. For the 1996 penny, some collectors look out for double die errors ***, where the design is doubled, especially noticeable on the date or the maple leaf. Die cracks or chips ***, small imperfections in the coin's design. **off-center strikes ***, coins where the design isn't perfectly centered. If you happen to have one of these error pennies, you might be sitting on a coin worth several dollars or more, far beyond the typical 1 cent. Now, if you want to start collecting Canadian pennies or just want to identify if your 1996 pennies are valuable, here are some quick tips. Check the condition. ***, coins in mint or uncirculated condition are the most valuable. Look for sharp details, no scratches, and a shiny surface. Look for errors. ***, use a magnifying glass to check for doubling, misprints, or unusual marks. Consider the packaging. ***, sometimes pennies come in mint sets or rolls, which can add value. Check online auction sites. ***, see what others are paying for 1996 pennies with errors or in perfect condition. Remember, most circulated 1996 pennies will still be worth face value, but a few special ones could be hidden gems. Wrap it up. The 1996 Canadian 1-cent coin is a common and widely circulated coin with limited value in everyday condition. But if you keep an eye out for rare errors or uncirculated examples, you might just find a penny worth more than you think. And who knows? One day, these little copper coins could become cherished pieces of Canadian history. Before we talk about the 1996 penny itself, let's take a quick trip back through history to understand how the Canadian 1-cent coin came to be and why it's so iconic. The Canadian penny has a rich history dating back to 1858, when Canada first started minting its own coins. The penny quickly became a symbol of everyday commerce, used for buying small goods, paying fares, and saving spare change. In the early years, pennies were made of pure copper, giving them a distinctive reddish color. Over time, the composition changed, mostly to reduce cost and improve durability. By the 1990s, pennies were copper-plated zinc point. One of the most recognizable features of Canadian pennies is the maple leaf twig on the reverse side, which first appeared in 1937. The maple leaf itself is a national symbol of Canada, representing the country's natural beauty and pride. The 1996 penny continues this tradition. It features the maple leaf twig on the back and the effigy of Queen Elizabeth II on the front. She's been the monarch on Canadian coins since 1953. Interestingly, the 1990s were a transitional period for the penny. It remained essential in everyday transactions, but due to rising production costs and decreased purchasing power, the penny's role was becoming less significant. By the early 2000s, many countries, including Canada, started to question whether pennies were worth keeping in circulation. The Royal Canadian Mint officially stopped producing pennies in 2012, and in 2013, they were withdrawn from circulation altogether. So, the 1996 penny is part of the last generation of Canadian pennies minted before their eventual phase-out. This makes them a small but important piece of Canadian numismatic history, a coin that represents an era of everyday life that has now passed. The 1982 Canadian 1-cent coin. We'll talk about its history, design, mintage, and most importantly, its circulated value today. So, whether you've got a handful of these in your pocket or just want to know if your old pennies are worth something, stick around. The 1982 Canadian 1-cent coin is a staple in Canadian numismatics. It features the iconic image of Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse side, and on the reverse, the classic maple leaf twig, a symbol synonymous with Canada's heritage. But what makes the 1982 penny special, and what's its current value if you find one in your change or coin jar? Let's break it down. The 1982 penny was minted by the Royal Canadian Mint in Ottawa and Winnipeg. It's part of the small cent series that Canada issued from 1920 until the penny's discontinuation in 2012. The obverse side displays a right-facing portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold Machin, a portrait used from 1965 to 1989. The reverse features two maple leaves on a twig, designed by G.E. Kruger Gray, a design that dates back to 1937 and remained unchanged for decades. In 1982, approximately 199 million pennies were minted across both facilities, a very high number, making it one of the most common Canadian pennies out there. Ottawa Mint, no mint mark. Winnipeg Mint, small W mint mark. An important note about the 1982 penny is its composition. This coin is made primarily of copper, 98% copper, 0.5% tin, and 1.5% zinc, which means it has some value in terms of metal content, especially with copper prices fluctuating. Now, let's get to the million-dollar question, or maybe just a few cents. What's the value of a circulated 1982 Canadian penny? Because of its massive mintage and the fact it's still made of mostly copper, a circulated 1982 penny is generally worth its face value. That is, 1 cent. However, due to copper prices rising in recent years, some sellers on the market might price these coins anywhere between 3 to 15 cents each when sold in bulk for copper content. If your 1982 penny is circulated, meaning it has the typical wear and tear from everyday use, it's unlikely to be worth more than a few cents above face value. But, if you find one in uncirculated or proof condition, or with errors, the value can go up. There are known varieties and error coins from the 1982 penny series, such as double dies, off-centers, or planchet flaws. These error coins can attract collectors and fetch anywhere from a few dollars to upwards of $50 or more, depending on rarity and condition. If you're wondering whether to keep your 1982 pennies or cash them in, here's a quick tip. While most circulated coins are just worth 1 cent, saving any that look unusually shiny, have a mint mark, or show errors might be worthwhile. You never know when a coin might become a rare find. So there you have it, the 1982 Canadian 1-cent coin, a piece of Canadian history that's still widely found in circulation but generally worth its face value unless you find a rare variety or an error. Got any 1982 pennies in your collection? Drop a comment below telling us about your best finds. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more coin videos every week. Thanks for watching / your channel name, and happy collecting.